Hey, I'm Ray McKinnon. I want to start off by saying that the things I'm about to say are from me personally, and they don't represent any organization where I might serve on staff, and they don't represent any organization where I might serve as an officer or board member. You know, in a couple of days, we're going to go to the polls and we're going to vote. And when I think about voting, I immediately think about our past, and I think about what's going on today, and I think about our future. And when I think about those things, it really, I don't know, there's something that happens to me where I don't understand people who don't see the importance of voting. And I'm not going to be a guy who says it only matters if you vote. I do believe that it's important for everyone to vote, and everyone should use their vote well. But for me, I think that it's important for us to vote our values. It's important for us to vote for hope. It's important for us to vote realizing that the people who we choose to elect and represent us must, in fact, represent us. I voted last Thursday, the first day of early voting, and I am excited every time I get to vote, because I know that there are people who literally are dead today so that I, as a black man, could have that right to vote. And I want to do everything that I can to make sure that we are carrying on that legacy. So I encourage you to get out and vote. I encourage you to vote for hope. I encourage you to vote for folks who will represent us well. I encourage you to vote for folks who understand that it's not important that they only get theirs. It's not important for them to say that, people need to pull themselves up by their own bootstraps, because the reality is that there are some folks who can't do that because they only have boots. And we need people who understand that. We need people on every level to understand it. We need people who are going to go to the Senate and represent us well, who are going to say that big corporations aren't all. And yeah, I mean, I can be cynical and say that both Kay Hagan and Tom Tillis are bought and paid for by the corporations. And maybe on a level that's true. But when I think about Kay Hagan, I think that even though she, frankly, for me, isn't as progressive as I would like for her to be, given the choice between she and Speaker Tom Tillis, there is hands down no choice for me. That she has made votes that benefit more middle-class families and lower-income families. I sometimes get upset when we act like the only people who matter are upper-income people and middle-class people, and I am fortunate enough to fall into that middle-income bracket. But it's also important that we have representatives who know that there are still systemic problems and barriers that prevent some people from getting out of the lower class. And I encourage folks who are in that lower class to vote, man, to know that you need people in Washington who will represent you. But not only that, you need people in Raleigh, in North Carolina. You need people in Raleigh who will represent you. You need people in your county commissioner who will represent you. You need people who will say that we know that it is not just about us, that there are other people who need the come up that we've gotten. So I encourage you to vote. I encourage you to vote for the judges. Those things are, the judicial elections are so important, and we forget about those. We forget the important decisions that they make. We forget that just a couple of weeks ago, judges made decisions that to stand up for equality for all people. And for me, justice and equality are huge things. For me, obviously, I'm a Democrat, and I vote for Democrats not because they're perfect, but because I believe that the Democratic Party, with all of our flaws, is the party that wants to be inclusive. It's the party that wants to say that we are going to stand up for folks who don't have a voice. I don't believe that Republicans are bad people. I believe that Republicans are Republicans for the same reasons that Democrats are Democrats, because they believe that their vision for America is the best thing. So I don't vilify Republicans, but I do believe that we need to vote. Today, Friday, and tomorrow are going to be your last opportunities to vote early. I'm going to have a link to help you find in North Carolina the early voting locations. I encourage you to do that. And if you don't vote today or tomorrow, make sure you have a plan to vote on Tuesday on Election Day. If you need a ride to the polls, message me. We'll make sure you get there. If you are ready to vote, you need to vote, because to not vote is a vote in itself. It's been said that people in my generation, younger folks, don't vote, and we want to make sure we prove them wrong. We want to make sure they know that we have a voice. A lot of us are crippled by our loans, and we need to make sure that we have people who are not going to give breaks to corporations and not even try to redo the loan policy. We need to have people in Congress, and you have people in Raleigh, people on the local and judicial levels who are going to represent us. Man, I implore you to vote. There are too many people who gave their life so that we could have the opportunity to vote, so that men, women, everyone, without regard to your race, would have the opportunity to vote. I encourage you, get out the vote. We are the future. We do vote.